Tools. Clutch driver. Fasteners that require a clutch driver are normally used in non-load-bearing places. Clutch offer less slippage than a standard slot screw. The clutch head design has been called a butterfly, or figure 8. Automotive users do not often use these drivers. Screw lock screwdriver. The screw lock screwdriver has a square tip. The tip fits into a square recess in the top of the fastener. This type of fastener is commonly used on truck bodies, campers, and boats. Pliers. Pliers are gripping tools used for working with wires, clips, and pins. At a minimum, an auto user should own several types: standard pliers for common parts, and wires, needle nose for small parts, and large, adjustable pliers for large items and heavy-duty work. A brief discussion on the different types of pliers is as follows. Combination pliers are the most common type of pliers, and are frequently used in many kinds of automotive repair. The jaws have both flat and curved surfaces for holding flat or round objects. Also called slip joint pliers, the combination pliers have many jaw opening sizes. One jaw can be moved up and down on a pin attached to the other jaw to change the size of the opening. Adjustable pliers, commonly called channel locks, have a multi-position slip joint that allows for many jaw opening sizes. Needle nose pliers have long, tapered jaws. They are great for holding small parts, or for reaching into tight spots. Many needle nose pliers also have wire cutting edges, and a wire stripper. Curved needle nose pliers allow you to work on a small object around a corner. Locking pliers, or vise grips, are similar to the standard plier, except they can be tightly locked around an object. They are extremely useful for holding parts together. They are also useful for getting a firm grip on a badly rounded fastener that is impossible to turn with a wrench or socket. Locking pliers come in several sizes and jaw configurations for use in many auto repair jobs. Diagonal cutting pliers, or cutters, are used to cut electrical connections, cotter pins, and wires on an automobile. Jaws on these pliers have extra hard cutting edges that are squeezed around the item to be cut. Snap, or lock ring pliers are made with a linkage that allows the movable jaw to stay parallel throughout the range of opening. The jaw surface is usually notched or toothed to prevent slipping. Retaining ring pliers, sometimes called snap ring pliers, are identified by their pointed tips that fit into holes in retaining rings. Retaining ring pliers come in fixed sizes, but are also available in sets with interchangeable jaws. Hammers. Hammers are identified by the material and weight of the head. There are two groups of hammer heads, steel and soft-faced. The heads of steel-faced hammers are made from high-grade alloy steel. The steel is deep forges and heat-treated to a suitable degree of hardness. Soft-faced hammers have a surface that yields when it strikes an object. Soft-faced hammers should be used on machined surfaces, and when marring a finish is undesirable. For example, a brass hammer should be used to strike gears or shafts because it will not damage them. Taps and dies. The hand tap is a small tool used for hand cutting internal threads. An internal thread is cut on the insides of a part, such as a thread on the inside of a nut. Taps are also available that only clean and restore threads that were previously cut. Taps are selected by size and thread pitch. Hand threading dies are the opposite of taps because they cut external or outside threads on bolts, rods, and pipes rather than internal threads. Dies are made in various sizes and shapes, depending on the particular work for which they are intended. Dies may be solid or fixed size, split on one side to permit adjustment, or have two halves held together in a collet, that provides for individual adjustments. Dies fit into holders called die stocks. Chisels and punches. Chisels are used to cut metal by driving them with a hammers. Automotive users use a variety of chisels for cutting sheet metal, shearing off rivet and bolt heads, splitting rusted nuts, and chipping metal. Punches are used for driving out pins, rivets, or shaft, aligning holes in parts during assembly, and marking the starting point for drilling a hole. Punches are designated by their point diameter and punch shape. Removers. Rust, corrosion, and prolonged heat can cause automotive fasteners, such as cap screws and studs, to become stuck. A box wrench or socket is used to loosen cap screws. A special ripping tool is designed to remove studs. However, if the fastener breaks off, special extracting tools and procedures must be employed. Stud remover have hardened, nulled, or grooved eccentric rollers, or jaws that grip the stud tightly when operated. Stud removers, or installers, are turned by a socket wrench drive handle, a socket, or wrench. Extractors are used on screws and bolts that are broken off below the surface. Twist drills, fluted extractors, and hex nuts are included in a screw extractor set. This type of extractor lessens the tendency to expand the screw of stud that has been drilled out by providing gripping power along the full length of the stud. Hacksaws. A hacksaw is used to cut metal. The blade only cuts on the forward stroke. The teeth of the blade should always face away from the saw's handle. The number of teeth on the blade determines the type of metal the saw can be used on. A fine-toothed blade is best for thin sheet metal, whereas a coarse blade is used on thicker metals. When using a hacksaw, never bear down on the blade while pulling it toward you. This will dull the blade. Use the entire blade while cutting. Files. Files are commonly used to shape or smooth metal edges. Files typically have square, triangle, rectangular, or flat, round, or half-round shapes. They also vary in size and coarseness. To avoid personal injury, files should always be used with a plastic or wooden handle. Like hacksaws, files only cut on a forward stroke. Coarse files are used for soft metals. Smoother or finer files are used to work steel and other hand metals. Keep files clean, dry, and free of oil and grease. To clean filings from the teeth or a file, use a special tool called a file card. Tubing tools. Tubing made from steel, copper, aluminium, and plastic is used frequently when building automobiles. During service work, tubing often needs to be repaired or replaced. Tubing tools are made for such tasks as cutting, deburring, flaring, swaging, bending, and removing fittings. Gear and bearing pullers. Many precision gears and bearings have a slight interference fit when installed on a shaft or housing. The press fit allows no motion between parts and therefore prevents wear. The removal of gears and bearings must be done carefully. Prying or hammering can break or bind the parts. A puller with the proper jaws and adapters should be used when applying force to remove gears and bearings. Using proper tools, the force can be applied with a slight and steady motion.